This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
ABSupply, this is Richard.
You called this morning about door closers. What are you working on?
We've restored this 1840's barn into like a entertainment space. And I've got a giant mahogany door that's 96 by 48. But we don't need a lock set. We don't need any of that. I just want to use handles and a closer. But I'm not really familiar with these things, to be honest with you. I'm familiar with hinges and lock sets and that sort of thing. I don't want a new one. It won't look right here. So I'm trying to get like something that looks cool, you know?
Uh-huh. Right on.
And you have some, interesting things online that I looked at, but I don't know what's what, you know?
Right.
I don't know what questions I even need to, answer before I buy one.
Well, so the narrative is I've got a 4080 door on a 180-year-old structure, and I want to add a closer. And obviously you're looking for something that doesn't look modern. So the question becomes...
Correct. I don't want it to be shiny. No chrome.
Yeah, no, I get it. So I'm assuming that what you want is what we mostly refer to as potbelly closers. They're also
Correct.
known as traditional closers. If you're purchasing a unit that's, let's say, 100 years old, that's been rebuilt, we could probably cobble something together for you. There is one manufacturer who still makes them. The problem with that is they don't look like 19th century technology, even though they're still potbelly closers. They look more like ones that you'll see nowadays when you do see them.
I have found a bunch online, on eBay and stuff, but I'm scared to buy them because I don't know what to get. There's no
and the
there's
seller
no
doesn't
description.
know.
There's not even right hand or left hand on there.
No.
And I'm like,
a lot of mysteries when it comes to technology that people are not alive today that know how those work, with the exception of a few people, I'd say.
So what you got?
Well, what I have is, what I don't have is the ability to tell you what to buy on an online flea market like eBay.
No, I don't want to either. I want something that's been gone through and I know that works.
Yeah, well, yeah, we could. I know that I have a potbelly. The problem's going to be having it complete. I happen to know that I have a complete closer in our Chicago location right now. HQ in Florida. I know that I've got a closer there. So putting together something that one way or another I have, and that I have, as you said, it's been gone over, meaning we've conducted a complete rebuild on it, and we have an arm for it, and it can handle a 4080, is all very possible. So absolutely, no problem whatsoever to do that stuff. Now, you had asked earlier about left hand and right hand, and what's really interesting about potbelly closers is if you take a torsion spring and you turn it clockwise or whatever, counterclockwise, doesn't matter, you will compress it or you'll expand that spring. Either direction you turn it in, it's, energy is stored, right? You've got potential energy.
Right.
And when you let the spring go, it wants to go back to its normal position. And that is true whether you do it in clockwise or counterclockwise direction.
Oh.
And that's how left and right hand doors can be accommodated. It's dependent on what side of the ratchet the arm is positioned and where the ratchet pin is positioned. So you're in really good shape when it comes to left and right hand. And it's amazing how smart people were so long ago. Could make it so elegant in its design. I mean, they were figuring out how to not force a distributor to have handed inventory, in the 19th century. So yeah, you can do all of this. So what I would now, so what other questions do you have about potbellies?
I mean, I'm trying to get an understanding of the price, and how do I, because right now there's like the way the door is framed, there's like a lip. Okay. So I'm like wondering, what my limitations are in terms of, whether it needs to be flush mount or because there's probably an 1.5 inch gap between where the door is and where the jamb is.
Yeah. Closers can handle that reveal dimension, or inset dimension is a better way, I think, to call it.
It's inset, exactly.
Yeah, it's within certain reasons. Like I've got a potbelly installed on the front door here, literally 50 feet from me, and there's for sure a 1 inch inset dimension, if not more.
We're more like 1.5 inches, just to be clear.
Yeah, that shouldn't pose a problem, but what ends up happening is you lose some of your latch control because you are fundamentally changing the closing.
I could also mount, I could make it flush. I could mount a mounting spacer on the door.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All of that stuff. Absolutely.
Okay.
There's ways to do it. You could mortise the arm, the rod shoe into the casing.
Correct.
There's ways. So what I would suggest is that you email me photographs of this 180-plus-year-old door or structure and let me look at the installation. I will then determine what I have in stock that is either ready to go or can be rebuilt for the application. Now, in terms of cost, there's no chance that it's going to be less than $600. There's no chance that it'll be less than that because I've got to get one.
Okay.
I've got to rebuild one. The good news about that's for sure half of the cost of what a new traditional closer would look like. I mean, you can find them online for less. I know that you can. But the fact of the matter is just for, in the interest of painting with a broad brush. Now, you could consider perhaps an alternative means by which to close that door, and maybe in a way that's concealed that, it's not period correct, but no one sees it, and you're good.
Yeah.
So you could consider an overhead concealed door closer or even a floor closer, and floor closers are from the 19th century.
What do those look like?
Well, that's the whole point. You don't see them. But they're large bodies that get concealed in either the floor or the top of the door or the underside of the header. The downside of all of those options is that there is a not insignificant amount of preparation to the door frame.
The thing is I like the look of the closer. I want it,
Yeah, okay. There you go.
It's funky, it's cool, I want it.
Yeah. The downside, though, is you will end up putting your shoulder into it every single time you want to open the door. And that's why they're not used, because they're not handicap compliant. I don't know how many pounds of force this door takes, but it's for sure 15 pounds of force for me to open the front door here. So you'll be dealing with that for sure. But, that's what they dealt with in the 19th century.
And it's not going to, it still closes slow, right? It doesn't slam shut, right?
You're going to have the principle of a compressed spring wanting to be released and fluid flowing through raceways and a valve slowing it down. But under no circumstances would you think of it compared to today's technology where I can make that door take 4 minutes to close from 90 to 0.
But a 10-year-old could open it, right?
Maybe.
Maybe. That's the problem. There's a lot of kids here.
Yeah, this is an awful idea in the sense of the problem is you have a large door, and the closer will have a large spring, and with a large spring comes a larger opening force. So could I, as a 10-year-old, open it? Absolutely. But it's also going to close with a force, and you want to make sure fingers are quite clear of that stuff because you can't control it like you could a modern closer.
Okay.
And it becomes a $100 experiment.
Yeah. Damn. Okay. You kind of talked me out of it. So I guess we're going to have to go with a different solution. That's a shame. I was really into this.
Well, yeah, I mean, it just may not be the most practical solution. I mean, you can take a horse and buggy, 100 miles, but the jet's just more elegant. So back to the suggestion, you could have your cake and eat it too. You could have very good hydraulic control and never see it, so that you can still maintain period correct look when you're viewing it, in elevation, so to speak.
Okay, so do you guys sell those, or?
Yeah, there's lots of overhead concealed closers, whether it be in the door or in the header or a floor closer.
Can you email me some literature so I can go through it?
Yeah, but first you'll send me pictures of what you're working on.
What's your email address? I can send it right now.
Yeah, sales. Then it's the same as the website, ABSupply.net.
All right, I'll send this to you right away.
Awesome. I'll be back in touch with you.
All right, thanks, Richard. Appreciate it.
You bet. Bye-bye.
If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. Okay, so what the client ended up doing on the job, I simply don't know. They went radio silent. So the concern is, yeah, you want this to look 19th century, but you got a little issue with this casing up here, or this piece of lumber that's been notched. That's the inside, and that's probably what the client's concerned with. I don't recall the conversation because it's been months ago, but this is a real number. That's probably 2-inch. So yes, it would be really nice to use a potbelly style closer. I wouldn't have used antique brass. I would have used maybe US 10A oxidized oil rubbed bronze with lacquer. Doesn't match really well. This is sapele would be my guess. Well, maybe not. Yeah, it could be. It's kind of hard to say. It does definitely look like sapele, a species of African mahogany. So let's run with that being 2-inch. Let's take a look. So the rest of this video is, okay, what would I use? What would I use if I was this client? So finding a traditional potbelly that is rebuilt and ready to go is not impossible. We generally have potbellies that we can rebuild and give them that sort of traditional look or positively antique type of look. So let's open up the Norton catalog and let's go to the 2018 product catalog. Control F, type in the word traditional. So yeah, you could use a currently manufactured traditional type of looking potbelly closer. The concern that I have is that 2-inch inset. You're meant to install it where it's basically flush. Sorry that I'm just aimlessly scrolling, but I am looking for the answer. I know that in the past what I've seen is people have built a block of wood on the face of the door to match, to even that off. But I don't think it's going to be a problem here. Let's see if LCN has anything in their catalog. All right, the 4000 series. Yeah, the 4010 would be good. Yeah, they're using the term reveal. Reveal that, the way that I use the term reveal is specifically for a push side application. And I didn't know that it would be appropriate to call this reveal. So what they're saying is should not exceed 3/4 inch, the reveal dimension. Which is why I wanted to look at the 4010. So this frame's going to stand proud. So I would have to tell the client to expect to need to make adjustment. Let's say that was 2-inch. Maybe either modify the casing to fit the arm on, possibly add a block of wood underneath the closer. So the answer is I don't know the hard limit of the unknown closer, but there is at least some published concern over should not exceed 3/4 inch. You could probably physically install it by bringing this down to its minimum, maybe. I don't know if you've got 2-inch here. I know that people have cut them in the past and drilled and tapped holes. I've seen lots of things like that. If you want to be impressed with the ingenuity of your client base, just go out through their job sites. You'll see lots of fun, interesting, and unique ways to install hardware that it was never intended to work. It was never mentioned to work that way, but sure enough, it seems to work. So there's probably a mechanical limitation on the reveal. So let's go to the 4020. That's a top jam mount, yeah. 2 9/16, 4 13/16, 8" if you've got the proper arm. And this is reveal from the face here to the face here. So using that same using LCN's applied definition, yeah, you're in good shape. So what should the client do? Well, possibly modify this, or it may not be the end of the world to add a block here if you needed to. I don't know the top rail dimension. It's fairly narrow. You might just have a problem right from the get-go. Let's look at a Norton 78 template. I don't have templates of the Corbin C, the Corbin 100 series. I just don't have these templates. So I don't know what the top rail dimension is. So regular arm. Yeah, you're going to have holes that are going to be at 2" and that body's going to hang down another 3". So as long as you have probably a minimum of a 3" top rail, you should have no problem, at least in the sense of getting it physically installed. So I'd probably want a 3" top rail is probably what I would want, and that appears to be no problem here. So you get that the body's going to hang over the panel, but it would certainly look nice. You might need to block that off, or go a different direction altogether. What you could do, sticking with LCN just because we have their catalog open. There was a news story on one time about a bear in Alaska getting into the garbage dumpster because they were leaving the garbage dumpsters open, the lids open, and the simple solution is to close the dumpster lid. Maybe in that application to secure it shut. And what I'm referring to is, well, if you got a problem with the hardware fitting, why not just go concealed? And what I want to show is what an option for a concealed closer would be. Then you're not worried about it actually matching anything because you just never see it. It'll give you the high performance of a grade 1 closer. And it's also going to give you the ability to not worry about the aesthetics of the room. You don't see it. And hardware nerds like me would say, oh, you built a 1840s era event space. That's awesome. Well, why do you have this 1990s era door closer installed? I would pick it out, but I probably won't end up in that event space. 3130 would be possible. You won't see really any of it. This would actually completely solve the problem because the track would be up in the header and you'd have no concern over that thick casing that's there. 4" minimum top rail. Yeah, so the 130 could be ideal. You'd never see this, assuming it's compatible with wood doors. They don't say that it's specific to aluminum. So yes, there's a couple of questions that are lingering. Can a traditional fit? Could that 3130 fit? What do they mean by minimum 4" reveal? Or you just go with something that's truly concealed like this, which would be nice. You'd never see it at all. So at the end of the day, what did the client use? I do not know. Were potbelly closers even made in the 1840s? Interesting. I have a lot of old Corbin catalogs. I don't have one that old. Well, 1871. Let's fire up the oldest one that I have. Okay, here is our uploaded 1871 catalog. It is a hobby of mine that we scan and make available to everyone antique and archival catalogs. If I have them, they'll be on the manufacturer's page of the site. And I've scrubbed through this Corbin catalog. I don't see any door checks anywhere, just lots of locking hardware and other builders' hardware. I also opened up a Sargent catalog from 1877, and I too here do not see any door checks. So I don't know when these closers became available on the market. And also the problem could be is that Sargent and Corbin they were not businesses in the 1840s. I think his name was James Sargent. I don't think he was born in the 1840s. So back to what the client will do. What he did, I don't know. What I would personally do is, if this was mine, I'd probably get a rebuilt, refurbished Corbin 104, 105, and make it work by doing the least divergent means to get it installed possible. Meaning I don't want to make it look not original, but you know, if somebody had installed one of these 150 years ago, yeah, they probably would have put a block of wood or notched the casing. It's probably what would have happened. So I'd probably get one of the heavier springs, and I'd install it. Now, it's not handicap compliant, and I obviously don't know if this is mandated to be handicap compliant. It's not handicap compliant currently on the inside at all. But that's what I would do. I'd probably slap one of those on there, and I probably would search the internets of the world to find some sort of a historical type of hardware. I probably would just simply have push and pull hardware with a deadbolt, something really petite. You're not going to see much of it. They spent some money on this wood, and building a true style and rail door was not cheap regardless. And I wouldn't have used butt hinges. I would have used sauce. So let's see if that would have worked. Yeah, for sure. I probably would have used sauce hinges. Sauce, depending on the thickness, sauce 218. Concealed hinges, you'd never have seen them. No one would have asked about where the hinge is. Template. Yeah, that's what I would have used. Concealed hinge. Hide the hardware when you can. That's what I would have done. So, I don't know what the client did. I hope someday to learn, but that's the direction I personally would have gone in. It looks like a really cool place for whatever is happening. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.